basic class on triple tonguing. If you've already worked on your single and double tonguing, then triple tonguing is just another pattern, and it should be easy enough to learn. I would always start repeating just a little bit of single and double tonguing, for the reason that in triple tonguing, the difficulty is squashing the two T's together. So the K, of course, just rolls off after the T, but the two T's need to be squashed together, as in tickety 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 T. Yeah? So first we practice squashing the T's together. So I'm just going to use a G major scale now. You will find exercises for this in the Trevor Y and Robert Wynn articulation books as well. So anything you want to use is fine. Next, we can go to the pattern of tickety tickety tickety. Speak it before you try playing it on the flute, because it might feel a little bit awkward if you've never done it before. So just practice speaking it. And then we move on to playing it. I would keep the pattern relatively short to start with, so you just have the one little pattern of tickety. Stick with this pattern of just those 4 notes for a little while, for a few days maybe, until it feels really easy and really settled, and you don't have to think about it while you're playing. And then you can make it gradually longer in any way that you like. Again, use a book or just make the exercises up yourself. Just to make sure that you don't accidentally go into a double tonguing pattern here when it's like 6 notes. Give each beat a little accent, as in tickety tickety ti, tickety tickety ti. So, pieces that this could be useful for. What I played earlier, Mendelssohn's Italian Symphony, which we actually play quite often. Really, really lovely piece. Last movement has a lot of triple tonguing in it. There are other pieces in the flute repertoire where there's quite a long pattern of 3 notes. So for example, in the Dutilleux Sonatine, in the last movement, which goes so that's a really nice exercise. Other orchestral repertoire that is even more challenging would be the Alborada da Grazioso, which has very fast triple tonguing actually in trumpets and also in flutes. And then second flute plays and back to the first. So that's a real workout for the tongue. But as for all the other exercises, anything that you're trying that's new, give it a few days. Give it a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks, and don't get discouraged if it doesn't work straight away. Just take it easy, do it a few minutes at a time, and really, really focus on what you're doing. And that way you'll achieve much more rather than trying to spend an hour or 2 on tonguing and feeling like you're not getting anywhere. I'd rather have 5 or 10 minutes of really, really concentrated practice. It's much easier to learn something like this if you do maybe 5 or 10 minutes each day for a week or 2, and you will make much more progress rather than if you think, oh, I'll just sort out my tonguing now, and you try and practice it for 2 hours and then you don't do it on a regular basis. So rather find a few minutes each day or every other day if you can't otherwise fit it in, rather than leaving long gaps in between, especially when you first start practicing this kind of thing. The other thing I wanted to talk to you about today is how to use different vowels when you're playing. Now, I've been focused on T, tickety tickety, you know, for all my tonguing here, and I keep saying it, because the E is very light. The tongue therefore sits reasonably high in your mouth as well and moves particularly fast. So for clear articulation, that is really good. However, if you have a piece with just a long row of articulated notes, And an obvious example would be the Allemande of the Bach suite. If you used the exact same articulation on each note, I think it would sound rather dull. So let me do that. I'll stick with the E and try that. It's a little one-dimensional, I find. So for pieces like that, it also works in a lot of the Telemann fantasies with a long row of articulated notes of the same note length as well. It does make it sound rather dull staying on the same vowel, because depending on which vowel you use, it really changes the shape in your mouth. And so it changes the resonance of the sound as well. If you use the lighter vowels, something like E or E, that kind of thing, then the note is slightly brighter. However, if you use a deep R or O even, R, O, see how open your mouth is here, and the sound can resonate much more inside here already. To make it quite simple, just for something for you to try out, would be for the Allemande to go ti 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 ta, ti 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 ta. So just for the bass notes that we would usually play a little bit longer anyways, we could try here to just use a slightly more resonant vowel for the low note. Let me demonstrate that. Of course, you can always just play notes longer, but using these slightly deeper and more resonant vowels will add a lot of depth to your piece. Try it out, and I think the Allemande is brilliant because you have no slurs in there whatsoever and all the notes are the same. So that's absolutely brilliant. You can try the same vowel for every single one first, try different ones. So if you want to practice the E, practice everything on an E, or practice everything on an U or an A, and just see what happens. And then think about which color you like, which works for you, and how it influences the piece. And how you can make it even richer, how it can help with the phrasing as well. I hope this was interesting. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions about any of that. I know not everyone who watches this will have a YouTube account, so if you have a burning question but you can't write a comment, just go to my website, www.mariechristinezupancic.com, where there's a contact section as well, and feel free to leave me a message with any questions you have about these topics or any suggestions of topics you would really like me to talk about. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great week. Bye bye.